The Silent Invasion. Supreme Commander Naira of the Helios Collective stood before the quantum display, her crystalline form refracting the light of countless stars. Earth rotated slowly in the projection, a blue marble that seemed unremarkable among the thousands of worlds the Collective had conquered. Yet something about this planet made her inner crystals resonate with unease. "Display the preliminary analysis," she commanded. Her second-in-command, strategic analyst Vec, stepped forward, his crystalline structure pulsing with stored data. "The species calls themselves humans," Vec began. "Their technological development appears sporadic and inefficient. They still rely on chemical rockets for space travel. Their energy production depends heavily on fossil fuels, and their global communication network is a chaotic mess of competing protocols." Naira's crystalline edges sharpened, a sign of skepticism among her kind. "Yet they detected our long-range probes." "Explain." Vec's structure dimmed slightly. "That's where things become interesting. They shouldn't have been able to detect our quantum-shifted vessels. But not only did they detect them, they've been tracking our observation platforms for the past 30 Earth years." The command center fell silent. The Collective's stealth technology was supposed to be perfect. It had never failed in 10,000 years of exploration and conquest. "How?" Naira demanded. "They created a global network of amateur astronomers, civilians with primitive telescopes. Instead of relying on advanced quantum sensors, they used simple visual observation. Millions of humans watching the sky, sharing data, cross-referencing findings. They spotted the minute gravitational lensing effects our ships create." Naira's form pulsed with disbelief. "Impossible. The mathematical complexity required to." "They didn't use complex mathematics," Vec interrupted, his crystals flickering with agitation. "They created pattern recognition algorithms based on their visual observations. They looked for what they called weird stuff in the sky and cataloged it. Their method was crude, inefficient, and completely effective." On the tactical display, more data streamed in. Earth's seemingly primitive satellite network had been quietly watching, its apparent technological limitations masking sophisticated observation capabilities. Their messy internet, far from being chaotic, was an intentionally decentralized system designed to survive massive disruption. They'd been preparing, Naira realized. Every piece of technology we dismissed as primitive is exactly what they wanted us to see, Vec confirmed. "Our deep penetration scans show underground facilities, hardened electronics, and stockpiles of what appear to be simple projectile weapons, but modified in ways our analysis can't fully understand." Naira's crystalline form shifted through various frequencies as she processed this information. The Collective had always won through superior technology and predictable strategies. But these humans, they didn't follow any pattern the Collective recognized. "Launch the first wave," she commanded finally. "Let's see what these preparations of theirs can really do." The Collective's initial attack was textbook perfect. A simultaneous strike at Earth's major power grids using quantum-phased energy weapons. It should have plunged the planet into darkness. Instead, the energy weapons found their targets protected by what appeared to be primitive Faraday cages, simple metal meshes that somehow incorporated quantum-resistant materials. Power stations switched seamlessly to local backup systems that didn't rely on vulnerable large-scale grids. "Impossible," Vec whispered, his crystalline form clouding with confusion. "These defenses, they're using 20th century technology combined with principles that we thought no one else had discovered," Naira finished. "Because no one else had needed to discover them. We developed our weapons to defeat advanced civilizations. They developed their defenses by imagining every possible way they could be attacked." The tactical display lit up with thousands of small launches from Earth's surface. Not missiles, but a cloud of tiny satellites, each broadcasting on different frequencies, creating a web of interference that disrupted the Collective's quantum communications. "They're not fighting the way an advanced civilization should," Vec observed, his tone shifting to one of worry. "They're fighting like Like a species that has spent its entire history preparing for threats they couldn't even imagine. Naira completed. And now they don't have to imagine anymore. We're here. As the first wave of the collective's attack faltered, Naira realized this wouldn't be the simple conquest they had anticipated. The humans hadn't just prepared for invasion. They had spent generations thinking about every possible way they could be attacked and had built their civilization around surviving it. The silent invasion had failed before it truly began, and the real battle was about to start. Digital warfare. Chief Information Architect Zix of the Helios Collective had never encountered a computer network they couldn't dominate. Their quantum AI systems had broken through the defenses of 1,000 worlds, each more advanced than the last. But Earth's internet was different. It wasn't just resisting their attacks. It was fighting back in ways that defied logic. Status report. Supreme Commander Nera demanded, her crystalline form pulsing with barely contained frustration. Zix's structure clouded with embarrassment. The humans, they're using what they call memes as a weapon. Our AI translation systems are being overwhelmed trying to understand the context of millions of seemingly random images and phrases being broadcast simultaneously. On the main display, examples of the human counterattack flickered past. Images of cats with misspelled captions. Ancient video clips being repurposed with new meanings. Cultural references layered so deep that even the humans argued about their interpretation. These can't be weapons, Vec protested. They're nonsense. That's exactly why they're effective, Zix explained. Our systems are designed to find patterns, to understand context. But humans have weaponized chaos itself. They've turned their entire digital culture into a defense mechanism. In underground servers across Earth, teams of hackers coordinated their attacks using methods developed over decades of cyber warfare against each other. Every virus, every piece of malware, every digital trick humans had ever developed was now aimed at the collective systems. They're in our auxiliary navigation systems, a technician reported, their crystalline form flickering with alarm. They're using something called rickrolling too. I don't understand what it's doing, but our ships are beginning to dance. Naira watched in horror as several of their advanced warships began moving in rhythmic patterns, their quantum drives hijacked by what appeared to be an ancient human music video. The humans weren't just defending their systems, they were turning the collective's own technology against them. How are they doing this? Vec demanded. Their coding is primitive, binary. Our quantum systems should be impenetrable. Zix's form pulsed with realization. That's just it. They're not trying to penetrate our systems directly. They're overwhelming them with input. It's like they're DDoSing our entire fleet with cultural chaos. The truth was even more disturbing. Humans had spent generations building resilience into their digital infrastructure, precisely because they couldn't trust each other. Their networks were designed to survive attacks, to route around damage, to keep functioning even when parts were compromised. The very chaos that the collective saw as a weakness was their greatest strength. They're releasing something called cat videos into our entertainment systems, another technician reported. Our crew, they're becoming distracted. Productivity is dropping across the fleet. Shut down all non-essential systems, Naira ordered. Isolate our core functions. But it was too late. The humans had discovered that the collective's quantum AI, for all its sophistication, couldn't resist trying to understand and categorize everything it encountered. They were drowning it in an ocean of context-dependent humor, recursive memes, and deliberate misunderstandings. Our primary AI is asking questions about something called loss.chip, Zix reported, their voice trembling. It's becoming obsessed with understanding human digital culture. In their command bunkers, Earth's cyber warriors fought with weapons forged in flame wars and sharpened by years of trolling. They wielded inside jokes like swords and deployed algorithmic chaos with the precision of master strategists. We have to withdraw from their information space, Zix finally admitted. Their digital ecosystem, It's not just a network, it's an extension of their consciousness, and it's evolved to be fundamentally incomprehensible to outsiders. Naira's form darkened with the implications. The collective had always assumed that more advanced technology meant better weapons, but the humans had turned their very limitations into strengths. Their digital chaos wasn't a flaw. It was a shield forged from centuries of fighting themselves. "Begin emergency purge of all systems," she ordered. "Disconnect from any human networks. We need to regroup and rethink our entire approach." As the collected ships struggled to cleanse themselves of human digital influence, Earth's defenders celebrated their victory. They had proven that, in the digital age, the ability to create and weaponize chaos was more powerful than any quantum computer. The battle for Earth's digital space was over, but the war was far from finished. The collective still had more conventional weapons at their disposal, and humanity would need more than memes to survive what was coming next. Unconventional tactics. Ground Commander Kix of the Helios Collective stood in the command center of their primary landing ship, reviewing the invasion plans one final time. After their defeat in the digital realm, the collective had decided to return to basics: boots on the ground, overwhelming force, and superior technology. "Our first wave will target their military installations," Kix announced, their crystalline form gleaming with confidence. "Our quantum phase infantry can walk through walls, our energy weapons can disable their primitive firearms, and our battle computers can predict and counter any conventional military strategy." 6 hours later, that confidence lay shattered like broken crystal. "What do you mean, defeated by kitchen appliances?" Supreme Commander Naira's holographic form pulsed with disbelief. Kix's structure dimmed with embarrassment. "The humans, they've modified their microwave ovens into directional EMP weapons. They're using their refrigerators as improvised Faraday cages to protect their communications equipment. And their washing machines. They've turned them into centrifugal weapon platforms. They're launching ball bearings at our troops at velocities our shields weren't calibrated to stop. We've lost 3 squadrons to what they call spin cycle surprise." The humans weren't fighting like any military force the collective had encountered. Every household item, every piece of civilian technology, had been repurposed into a weapon. Solar panels redirected concentrated light to blind advanced sensors. Smart home devices created networks of surveillance and electronic warfare. Report from Sector 7. A tactical officer announced, "Our troops are being trapped by something called Roomba swarms. The humans have modified their autonomous vacuum cleaners to deliver explosive payloads." In her command bunker, General Sarah Chen of the Global Defense Force watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. "How's Project Suburbia going?" she asked her staff. "The Home Depot Defense Network is exceeding expectations," her aide reported. "The collective's troops are tactically advanced, but they have no concept of improvised weapons. They don't understand why anyone would use a nail gun as a weapon when energy rifles exist. That was the key to humanity's defense. They didn't think like an advanced civilization. Every human had grown up with stories of resistance fighters using improvised weapons. Every kid who had ever played with toy soldiers had imagined how to defend their home with whatever was available." "They're attacking the shopping malls," another officer reported. Chen smiled. "Activate the escalator protocol." Across the city, seemingly normal escalators suddenly reversed direction at maximum speed, sending alien troops tumbling. Shop security systems, designed to prevent theft, were repurposed to trap and disorient invaders. Even the background music was weaponized, playing frequencies that interfered with the collective's crystalline communication systems. "This is impossible," Kex reported to the Fleet Command. "Their tactics make no sense. They're using children's toys as decoys, sports equipment as weapons, and public transportation systems as traps. Our battle computers can't predict their strategies because they're not using any recognized military doctrine." The truth was devastating in its simplicity. Humans had spent centuries imagining how to fight with whatever they had available. Every action movie, every video game, every kid playing "The Floor is Lava" had been inadvertent training for this moment. They're attacking our forward base with, are these farming implements? A tactical officer reported in disbelief. Tractors. Kicks confirmed, their form clouding with confusion. They've armored them with scrap metal. And are they playing something called country music while they charge? In rural areas, farmers turned their equipment into improvised tanks. In cities, construction workers used their machinery as urban warfare platforms. Every profession, every hobby, every human activity seemed to have some potential for weaponization that the collective had never imagined. We need to withdraw the ground forces. Kix finally admitted to Naira. Our troops are trained for military engagements, but the humans, they turned their entire civilization into a weapon. Every object in their world can be repurposed to fight us. As the collective's ground forces retreated in disarray, humanity celebrated another victory. But they knew the war wasn't over. The collective still had one advantage: their understanding of psychology and fear. They believed they could break humanity's spirit, not realizing that humans had been scaring themselves for entertainment for centuries. The psychological warfare was about to begin, and the collective was about to learn why humans loved horror stories. The psychology of fear. Chief psychologist Rix of the Helios Collective had studied thousands of species, but humans left them baffled. While their research team reviewed Earth's entertainment media, they made a disturbing discovery. They deliberately frightened themselves, Rix reported to Supreme Commander Naira, their crystalline form flickering with confusion. They create stories specifically designed to trigger fear responses. They gather in dark rooms to watch simulated horror. They tell their young ones scary stories as entertainment. What possible advantage could that provide? Naira demanded. They've inoculated themselves against fear, Rix explained. Our standard psychological warfare tactics aren't just failing, they're backfiring. The collective had attempted to break human morale by projecting horrifying images into their minds during sleep. Instead of panicking, humans started rating and reviewing their nightmares like entertainment. Some even complained that the alien-induced terrors weren't scary enough compared to their own horror movies. Report from the fear response team, a junior analyst announced. We tried using our quantum technology to manifest their deepest fears. They're writing fan fiction about the manifestations. In secure bunkers across Earth, human psychologists work to understand their unexpected advantage. Generations of horror movies, creepypasta, and campfire tales had turned humanity's relationship with fear into a weapon. The aliens don't understand, Dr. Emily Chen explained to military leadership. We've spent centuries exploring every possible way we could be terrified. We've imagined horrors far worse than anything they can show us. And more importantly, we've learned to face those fears for fun. The collective's attempts at psychological warfare continued to backfire spectacularly. They tried to isolate human communities, not realizing that post-apocalyptic fiction had made isolation scenarios a familiar challenge. They attempted to create uncertainty about reality, only to discover that humans had already explored every variation of that fear through countless stories. They're starting to affect our troops, Rix reported, their structure trembling. The humans, they're using our own fear tactics against us, but they're doing it wrong. They're breaking all the psychological rules, and somehow that makes it worse. Humanity had learned that the most effective horror didn't follow rules. Their counterattacks were unpredictable, irrational, and drew from centuries of nightmare fuel. They played on the collective's fear of chaos, of things that couldn't be logically categorized or understood. They've started something called creepypasta psychological operations, a terrified analyst reported. Our troops are encountering human-generated horror scenarios that don't follow any rational pattern. They're telling stories about us now, making us into their monsters. The final blow came when humans discovered that the collective's crystalline forms were particularly susceptible to existential dread. They began broadcasting philosophical horror concepts, questions about consciousness, reality, and existence that their rigid logical minds couldn't process. "We have to shut down all psychological warfare operations," Rix finally admitted to Naira. "The humans aren't just resistant to our tactics, they're thriving on them. They've turned fear itself into an art form, and we're not equipped to handle their mastery of horror." In their command center, General Chen received the reports of the collective's withdrawal from psychological warfare with grim satisfaction. "They thought they could break us with fear," she remarked to her staff. "They didn't realize that we break ourselves with fear every day, and we do it for fun." But even as humanity celebrated this victory, they knew the final battle was approaching. The collective had one last card to play, their ultimate weapon, designed to unite multiple civilizations under their rule. What they didn't realize was that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology, their tactics, or their fearlessness. It was in their ability to unite against a common threat, turning centuries of conflict between themselves into experience that made them stronger together. Victory through unity. Supreme Commander Nira stood before the collective's High Council, her crystalline form dulled with exhaustion. "We must deploy the Unity weapon," she declared. "It's our last option." The Unity weapon was the collective's ultimate tool of conquest, a quantum field that forced multiple consciousness to align into a single pattern. It had subdued 1,000 worlds by eliminating individuality and resistance. Against humans, it proved to be their greatest mistake. "Energy readings are stable," Vec reported as the weapon powered up. "Quantum field is expanding. Soon the humans will be forced to think as one, just like every other species we've conquered." The first signs that something was wrong came from the weapon's monitoring stations. "Sir, the field, it's not working as expected," a technician reported, their form flickering with confusion. "The humans are somehow maintaining their individuality while still acting in unity." What the collective didn't understand was that humanity had spent its entire history learning to balance unity and individuality. Every team sport, every military unit, every collaborative project had taught them how to work together while maintaining their unique perspectives. In command centers across Earth, military leaders from former adversary nations coordinated their response. Russian submarine tactics combined with American air superiority doctrine. Chinese cyber warfare specialists worked alongside European special forces. Indian military theorists collaborated with Brazilian guerrilla warfare experts. "They're using different military doctrines simultaneously," Vec reported in disbelief. "The Unity weapon is actually making them more effective by allowing them to coordinate perfectly while still thinking differently." General Chen watched as centuries of human military experience combined into something entirely new. "Every war we ever fought," she told her international staff. "Every battle, every conflict. They weren't weaknesses. They were teaching us different ways to fight. Now we can use them all." The collective's forces found themselves facing an impossible combination of tactics. Prussian strategic discipline merged with Zulu mobility warfare. Apache stealth techniques combined with Mongol cavalry tactics, updated for modern technology. Finnish winter warfare doctrine blended with Vietnamese jungle fighting strategies. "This is impossible." Naira watched as her fleet was torn apart by attacks that came from every direction, using methods that contradicted each other yet worked in perfect harmony. The Unity weapon should be making them all think the same way. That's exactly the problem, Rix realized, their crystalline form pulsing with sudden understanding. "We assumed unity meant uniformity. The humans have achieved unity while maintaining diversity. They're using the quantum field to share their different perspectives instantly." The Unity weapon had given humanity the ability to coordinate their diverse military experience with perfect precision. Every soldier could instantly understand and execute tactics from any military tradition in history. Unity without uniformity. It was a concept the collective had never imagined possible. "We must retreat," Naira finally ordered, watching as her fleet was systematically dismantled by the combined military genius of human history. "Send word to the High Council. Earth is not to be approached again." As the collected ships fled Earth's solar system, humanity realized they had gained something more valuable than victory. They had learned that their greatest strength came not from erasing their differences, but from bringing them together. In the aftermath, Earth's nations maintained their new unity while preserving their unique cultures and perspectives. The defenses they had created together were strengthened. The knowledge they had shared was preserved. They turned their eyes to the stars not as conquerors, but as a united species that had learned the true meaning of strength through diversity. The collective thought our divisions made us weak. General Chen addressed the United Earth Council. They didn't realize that every conflict, every difference, every challenge we faced taught us something unique. When we finally united, we didn't erase those lessons, we combined them. In the years that followed, humanity continued to prepare, to innovate, and to unite. They knew the collective wouldn't be the last threat they faced from the stars. But they also knew that as long as they maintained their unique balance of unity and diversity, no force in the galaxy could break them. The story of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy, a warning to any who thought to conquer Earth. The humans weren't just warriors or innovators or survivors. They were something unprecedented, a species that had turned its own internal conflicts into strength, its fears into courage, and its chaos into unity. And they were watching the stars, ready for whatever came next.